Yeah, we're talking about a guy who spent 100 days underwater for research purposes and to help all of us figure out what could happen, the benefits, maybe the downside of some of that. We're talking about Dr. Joseph Dituri. He is kind enough to join us here in studio on dry land. Dr. Dituri, thank you so much for joining us today. We're so happy that everything worked out for you because you've got the research, you're back. How are you feeling, first of all?
I feel wonderful. I made some rookie mistakes when I first came back, but I feel well now, that's for sure.
Great. Okay, so it's obvious that you know a lot about submersibles.
Yeah.
And we are talking about something that is just so horrific, and we're sorry that we even have to bring this up, but if we're going to have a guest like you, you know so much about it. Can you just give us your take on what you think happened?
Obviously, I, like most everybody else, sat from afar, and I'm just horrified at what's going on. You know, it's cringeworthy, right? But you see this happening and you're going, okay, what is it that I could do here? How could I? They asked for a call for all the expertise in the world. So it says, maybe I could do something, right? So I tried, but you know, we're all sitting back just watching it. And unfortunately, you're at that depth and pressure, you're at almost 6,000 pounds per square inch. So that means every square inch that you're going through has 6,000 pounds upon it. So there are, you know, a baby elephant standing on you, more full-size elephant standing on you in that 1 inch. So it's kind of compelling. It's a lot. But what it does is it reminds us that exploration is not really that easy. Like, we make it look easy. I came out of the water and I walked away, right? And I did that because I did an extra amount of decompression. I made sure that before I, you know, stood before the entire news media and everybody, that I didn't fall out, you know, but that's the way exploration goes. Sometimes it doesn't go well. Yeah. It's just a stark reminder.
The way you describe that is fascinating. So every inch there's 6,000 pounds of pressure. So does that mean if you have a submersible or some sort of craft intended to go down there, if there's one little weakness, one tiny little thing that wasn't checked or buttoned up, that everybody's life is in danger?
Right. Now, obviously, I can't speculate.
You don't know this situation,
but yes, if there is a blemish in a little piece of steel, or in this case, titanium, if there's a blemish in that, or a little bit of corrosion in one spot, that would be a weak point. And yeah, 6,000 pounds per square inch would definitely do bad thing.
Yeah, and I know one of the stories that I read is that there were 3 different kinds of materials, which also made it very hard. You talked about the titanium, the steel, and then also the plexiglass as well. So if any of those things are compromised and don't mesh, it just needs the tiniest opening for something to go wrong. And how deep were you?
So I've only ever been 2,000 feet, 1,947 feet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is 10,000 feet deeper than I've ever been in my life. And 2,000 feet is pretty darn deep,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And we're talking about 2.5 miles below. I can't even imagine something like that. You know, they say space is hard, but deep sea exploration is no joke either.
Right. I mean, there's many atmospheres at this point. So you're talking about a tremendous amount of pressure, whereas space, there's only a difference in one atmosphere. It's 0 outside and 15 psi inside. But here we're talking about, you know, 6,000 psi, 6,000 pounds per square inch, when it's 14.7 or 15 pounds inside, 6,000 pounds outside. So you can imagine that crushing force.
Yeah, I can't imagine it, actually. It sounds pretty incredible. Now, I wanted to ask you about the whole, because you're a part of this community of people who are going to places that people never go to.
Yeah.
And so when we hear stories from the outside of a PlayStation controller controlling it and maybe not all of the safety things happening that should have been around in this situation, what are your thoughts on, like, is this what happens when you're breaking new ground, or should they have taken more precautions there?
Wow. Speculating as to whether or not they could have taken more precautions, I have no idea. I mean, I wasn't on there and it's not my expertise. That is not my expertise level. However, when you're doing this type of exploration, you err on the side of caution usually, right? I mean, that's what I would do. So I can say what I would do. And when we had our systems in the U.S. Navy, when it was time for me to be the officer in charge of Deep Submergence Unit and I was doing all those deep dives, you know, I would do one up, one down. So I would have one asset on the bottom and one asset still on the surface as a rescue vehicle for that one.
And that one up top would be a sub, not a boat like they have, but an actual, like, or a submersible that could go down there.
It would be a submersible of sorts to be able to go down and rescue whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we know at this point everyone is just Monday morning quarterbacking,
right?
right? Because we don't know, and the sad thing is we never will know. But oddly enough, a week before all of this happened, I listened to a podcast about all the ways you can die in a submarine. Isn't that? I mean, and there were so many ways. Besides being the crushing pressure, it's the losing of the air, right? Talk about how quickly that air supply can go away, because when you hear about that, you think, oh, it's 96 hours of oxygen, but you're talking about 5 adult people.
Right. So it's not necessarily the oxygen level that'll get you. It's the carbon dioxide production if you can't scrub that out. Now, here we are. We're real close friends, right? We're in a tight little spot right here.
Yeah.
Now, divide that by 6. And that's how big we're talking. We're talking a teeny tiny little hole where you and I can be cross-legged. You would be miserable. You and I are miserable, right? Because we're
She's leggy.
Leggy.
Yeah.
Leggy. I've seen her. She's leggy. But, here you are, you're squished into this little spot and you're bent over and you're hunched over and you're trying to get comfortable.
Yeah.
The carbon dioxide buildup. And then, so like, let me give you, for instance, in my genre, when I was underwater for the 100-day mission, I was basically not worried about the flooding. I was not worried about the collapsing. I wasn't worried about that stuff. I was worried about fire or contaminated atmosphere, because you have a small atmosphere, and it's total 1,000 cubic feet in my space. In one of my spaces, it was 1,000 cubic feet. So it's like 1,000 cubic feet of gas, and that can be gone in a matter of a second with a fire.
What could cause a fire down there? What could you have done to cause a fire?
Electrical fires, for sure.
Yeah.
Electrical fires, any wire that's crossed, water, salt water, electricity, all bad. I mean, that's in my atmosphere, right?
You do this for your whole life, and you've only gone down 2,000 feet.
Right.
These people went down 6 times farther than you. How come you have never chosen to go farther?
Wow. So interestingly enough, I got several offers to go back into the deep submergence community, and I decided to kind of go a different way, if you will. So I don't know if you recall, but James Cameron's expedition to the bottom of the Marianas Trench, one of the reasons why I'm here. So one of the reasons why I was doing that 100-day undersea mission. So I was like, yeah, maybe we can go. When the new guys came out, Victor Vescovo and that new set of vehicles came out, it was like, hey, Joe, you've helped us so much. Do you want to? And I was like, yeah, I'd want to, but let's line up our schedules.
So what do you think this is going to do for this community? Everybody in the world's now talking about submersibles and going undersea. Do you think it's going to terrify people for exploration, or do you think it's going to push it even more?
Exactly the opposite. So what if you ever read Into Thin Air? John Krakauer wrote that book, right? Yeah. Great book, right? And what happened when that year lots of people died on that expedition? Now it's
it exploded, right?
There's a long line of people trying to get to the top of Mount Everest, right? So everybody can go up there now. So it's like, now it's becoming more commonplace. So I suspect that, we push boundaries all the time, but this is a stark reminder that exploration needs to be done, and it's costly. And sometimes in this unfortunate incident, it was costly for these people.
Yeah. It's crazy that how little we know about the bottom of the ocean.
We know more about space.
Yes,
which is
exactly.
That was what I was just about to say, which is insane. So why is it? Is it just that it is so hard and complicated to get down there?
It is so hard. At the time when I was first doing a lecture on deep submergence stuff, there had only been 3 people, James Cameron and 2 guys from the Navy, Auguste Piccard and Don Walsh, had gone to the bottom of the Marianas Trench, and that was it. Now I think there's like 12 or 13 in the world.
Yeah.
That's we have 77 man years in space.
That is crazy.
77 man
We
years.
just talked to a guy who went up on Axiom 2, and I think he was like the 600th something person to be on the ISS or something.
Crazy.
So I know.
Crazy. Wow, there's a lot of people that go to space comparatively, right? So because it's hard, because it's 10, 20, 30, 50, 75 times the pressure, you get to the bottom of the Marianas Trench, you're talking a lot of pressure there,
Yeah, we've talked about the bad side of pressure. Now I'm fascinated to maybe talk about the healing side of pressure, the things that could be good for our bodies.
Yeah.
Stick with us, Dr. Dituri. We'll be right back.
Welcome Welcome back to Florida's Fourth Estate, everyone. We have a fascinating guest today, and we are so thankful that he has made time for us here. We're talking about Dr. Dituri, who spent 100 days underwater in order to help us understand what happens to our bodies, the good, the bad, the ugly. And you experienced a little bit of everything, right?
I did. I got a little bit of good and a little bit of bad, and boy, I got some ugly stories.
Okay, let's talk about the good. Let's start with the good. What is good about spending all that time underwater? First of all, we talked to you. You were 20-something days into your journey, right? And you showed us this incredibly, it was a relatively small space where you were living. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what you experienced while you were down there for all that time, because 24 days is one thing, 100 days is something else.
Right. So what we found is that the oxidative stress got cut in the body from mid-70s to like the single digits. So basically that's all that stress on your body from that extra electron that's running around. It's an oxygen-free radical. But what it is it's one of these like stress reductions. And everybody goes, oh, well, you just didn't have the pressure and stress of your normal job. And I said, hold on, let me just explain my day to you. Because it was 6 to 8 hours worth of science per day. And I mean, that was just getting the science done, fitting the EEG caps on my head, electrocardiograms on my heart, you know.
You're still doing classes and
right, I'm
interviews
still
and everything
teaching
else.
classes, I'm doing interviews, and then I'm doing this outreach stuff to the kids, and it's crazy. So I was 12, 14, 16 hours a day, every darn day, not a day off. As a matter of fact, I was kind of a little bit upset that I heard that the people on the surface took Mondays off. I was like, we're like 6 weeks into it, and they took Mondays off. I'm like, wait, what?
I'm working down.
I didn't know we was getting Mondays off.
Getting any days
Did I miss
off
the
down
memo?
here?
Right. So that the good part about me being underwater is that all the stressors in my body were reduced. Right. The cortisol levels were all reduced, which is great.
And all of this was measured.
Measured. Yep. Measured through urine, saliva, and blood. Right. Okay. In 3 different ways we measured cortisol. So. And then, you know, when you look at things like oxidative stress and the other health that you're getting from being down there, every single one of my inflammatory markers was cut in half.
Really?
Wow.
The inflammation in your body is cut in half. But this is a known mechanism of action of hyperbaric medicine, right? Hyper is more than, baric is pressure, and I'm basically in a hyperbaric chamber that entire time. So, oh yeah, less stress, I mean, when you cut every inflammatory marker in your body, all that inflammation goes away, the pain goes away. Even though I was folding myself in half getting through that. The one thing I'm not going to miss,
That bed
the
did not look
36
comfortable.
That bed was so not comfortable. It wasn't even a bed. It was a twin-size bed too. It's like,
God.
It's so small you had to leave to change your mind. It was horrible. So,
And you're not a small man.
yeah, right? Of the upper bunk, there were 2 bunks in the room, right? The upper bunk, my shoulders could not fit on it. I mean, I'm 6'1", 220. Well, I was 220. I'm 210 pounds now, which is
Lost a little weight
Yeah.
down there. You really believe in this
Yeah.
pressure stuff, and clearly there's some science to back
Yep.
up what you're saying.
Yeah.
Do you feel like for the next experiment, you're going to have to push it even further, or how do we do this?
So who's going next, you mean?
Before
Before I go again, can we just wait like a minute or 2 or 3
Give
or
you a
10?
couple of weeks
Yeah,
here,
a little bit
Yeah.
of time, that'd be amazing. No, it's great to be out. It's definitely good to be out. You know, but that whole being in there, when I came out of the water that first time, I felt amazing, incredible, terrific. But little things like astronauts grow about an inch to an inch and a half. I shrunk about a half an inch.
Did you a half an inch?
Right? Because astronauts are in tension,
Right.
so they're basically being flung apart,
Yes.
and I'm being compressed together.
Oh my gosh.
And I know this because here I am, the tall guy, right? And I'm constantly scraping my head on the escape hatch on top. And I was like, hey, I'm not hitting the escape hatch anymore. And I'm like, I must have shrunk. And then, of course, there's no real good place to measure yourself. When I get to the surface, I am 72 and a little bit inches. I'm like,
Man, nobody wants to lose a half an
73.
inch. Are you going to get that back, you think?
I don't know. The astronauts do compress back down, so we'll see.
You mentioned at the top of the show you made some mistakes when you came out.
Oh, yeah.
What were your grave mistakes as you first get out of this thing by yourself?
Yeah.
You're underwater, caveman, and now you're back into society. So what
I
did you
came
do?
out and I went for a walk with a pretty girl, right?
Oh,
And
boy.
We went for 3 miles, and I got back, and my shins were like on fire. I had shin splints. I hadn't taken more than 5 steps in 100 days. So it's like, rookie move, Joe. What were you thinking?
Yeah,
Where was you
yeah.
going with 3 miles, right? Like, really? You couldn't just walk around the block? No, I had to, I got to go.
You have blisters on your feet right now.
have
You were showing us
blisters on
before
my
the show.
feet.
You don't wear
They-
shoes
right?
the entire time.
100 days of not wearing shoes at all. So, and then you come out and now you're just wearing your regular shoes that you always wear and you got blisters again. You're like, darn it.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you, when you were down there, was there any point where maybe halfway through, I don't know at what point, you're like, okay, I'm really ready to go back up, but I'm going to stay
Did you
here
wanna
for
give up?
science.
Yeah, so a family member got really sick and it was really touch and go and it was like, okay, I'm coming out. And my entire family was like, oh, no, you're not.
Yeah.
You are not going anywhere. I don't care. You don't have a ride. We won't come get you. I'm like,
You're gonna have to swim.
I was like, all right. They're like, this is more important.
That's great.
Nothing's really that bad that's going on. And plus, what can you do? Stand here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
That sounds like a
right.
supportive family. which
Right.
I would imagine if you're going to be gone for 100 days, you must have some supportive people in your life.
Did you guys see my mother came to visit me?
No, we
I didn't
missed
see
that.
My mother, whose age will not be mentioned, Mom, I didn't say it.
No,
I didn't say it.
She came down.
She took scuba diving lessons at her advanced age and came down and visited me for just lunch.
She took
Okay.
lessons to be able to go
Took
down.
lessons to come down. Come on, like hashtag
I
winning.
love your mom.
Right?
I love your mom.
All right.
That is a good mom right there. Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Did you sometimes feel like you were in an aquarium or something in a fish tank because people did come down to see you?
We were in the fishbowl. So like I was in the fishbowl and people would come over and tap on the
Oh no! You're like,
I'm like,
Does it really suck for the fish? Can you tell us? I've always heard, don't do that. They hate it. Is it the worst?
But I made the rule. I made the rule that if you are sitting in the window, it is your job for this whole mission, and I put it on myself first, that if somebody swims by that window, you come up and high five. That's what the mission's all about. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't even like we reached over 5,000 kids for science, technology, engineering, and math.
oh, that's wonderful.
cool.
And maybe they're all not going to be marine science majors, but maybe they'll be lawyers that understand and love and care about the ocean, which why not, right? Like
Yeah.
news reporters that understand and care about the
Yes,
ocean.
yes.
Oh, like a whole generation of people that are like, hey, we should protect this place. This is cool.
Before we knew we were even going to talk to you, I was on one of my colleagues' Facebook page, Mike DeForest, and he took his kids down there to see you, and we actually used it for the story when we talked to you. Yeah, and so I was like, that is really cool. Like, we didn't say, hey, go visit this guy, go see this.
Yeah.
Just did it. It was something that people found fascinating.
Right?
So there has to be a next.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Oh, he doesn't want to say
Let the
it.
cat out of the bag.
Meow.
What are you playing,
Yes.
Doc?
So, long term, I have always wanted to go to the other place, right? So you go deeper, you want to go
higher.
higher, right? Do you know that if you were to go, the space station moves so quickly that if you were to go up on the space station for 6.25 days, you could see 100 sunrises and 100 sunsets, which I missed. 100 sunrises and 100
You
sunsets.
could make up for it.
I'm just saying.
Because it goes like
putting it
17,500 miles per hour. It's just spinning. All right. You deserve that. You deserve your sunrises back.
So who do we talk to?
There's a guy named Elon Musk. I don't have his number.
I don't have his number, but we know people.
May know a guy.
So
that
do
knows a
you.
guy or girl.
Oh my gosh, that's fascinating.
Yeah, no, it's just a thought.
All right, well, put it out there.
put it- it's out
You never
there.
know
It's
what
in
will
the
happen.
universe now.
Yeah, it is. Doc, thank you so much. I mean, I
you
was telling
guys.
you before the show that this is an interesting topic. This is something I think people are fascinated by.
Yes.
But I think the fact that you are such a colorful, interesting, charming guy, doesn't it just make
Well,
it that much better?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I thought of you as a Shackleton type. Now you're Aquaman to me.
So like Aquaman with the tattoos
yes,
and the,
yes,
the
and then you got the Triton, and it's like, yes.
Okay.
I never know where she's going to go. I never know
I don't
where
know,
she's
but
gonna
like
go.
I said, she's my people right off the bat.
I'm going to go walk out the door. You guys can just do whatever.
And
Just hang out.
And thank you for watching Florida's Fourth Estate. You can download it from wherever you listen to podcasts or watch anytime on News 6 Plus.